Good morning. We will call the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Wednesday, April 10th, 2024 to order. The first item is our roll call. Let the record show all commissioners are present this morning. Second item will be our opening ceremonies, Pledge of Allegiance. First item this morning is our order of business. Is there any changes or corrections to our order of business, Mr. Solacek?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. There's no change to the order of business.
Okay, I would look for a motion to approve our order of business then.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 2 this morning is our minutes of our previous session, which would have been 3/13 of 24. Is there any corrections or comments on the minutes that are presented?
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to approve as presented.
We have a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we will move into our regular agenda this morning. This will be to consider a preliminary plat for the Energy Center 6th subdivision. The replat of Lot 1, Block 1, Energy Center 3rd Edition, located in the southeast quarter of Section 1, Township 139 North, Range 96 West, located in the city of Dickinson. The site consists of approximately 44.64 acres. Mr. Solacek.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. As you described, this is Lot 1, Block 1 of Energy Center 3rd Edition, and the applicant wishes to replat the southern portion of Lot 1, Block 1 of Energy Center 3rd, proposing to create 5 lots, and then there would be a right-of-way dedication. And this would ultimately add additional access for not only the North Dakota National Guard Readiness Center, which is currently under construction, but then also that property to the north and a little bit to the west is city-owned property, so it would give additional access to the city for their property. And there's a series of different things. I wanted to make sure that there was information as far as things that we're working on with the roadway design. 66-foot right-of-way is proposed, and that meets standards. We'll be utilizing for the roadway design typical street detail as per figure 4-3 out of our transportation master plan. Street lighting will be included, and we'll be looking at we asked the applicant to look at the intersection of Energy Drive and East Villard, just because it's at a unique angle, just to make sure that truck traffic can maneuver that successfully and everything. So sewer and water, just make sure that we're looking at anticipated demands, and then there's a lift station down in the kind of southwest corner that the city owns, and so ultimately then run analysis on that, just make sure that there's sufficient capacity in that lift station, which we anticipate. We will be working on, or have been working on, a development agreement, and that is anticipated or required to be filed at the same time as the plat. So with that, stand for any questions, and the applicant and his representative are here.
Any questions for staff? All right, if the applicant has anything to add.
Good morning, Commissioners. Andrew Schrank with Highlands Engineering, representing applicant for this plat. As Mr. Sklzacek indicated, this is a 5-lot industrial acre development. The right-of-way dedication would provide access to city property as well as this development, and there's some grant opportunities out there that are outlined in the development agreement that the city feels could help pay for some of the cost of this road, so it could be a good benefit here to both the city and the developer. Sanitary sewer, currently we have planned north of East Villard Street. It would connect to the lift station that Mr. Sklzacek referenced. It would head east along the north side of East Villard Street and then up through the center of what's Block 1 to serve all the lots proposed within this development. The water main that we have proposed would run through the proposed right-of-way. It would connect to existing infrastructure in East Villard Street, as well as in the North Dakota Readiness Center. There's some water mains that have been extended already through that property that we would connect to loop that water through the development. Site drainage, we currently have Block 1 planned to drain into Tract 1, located in the south center side of that block. There's a stormwater management facility proposed that would detain runoff that would be generated by those 4 lots. And then another facility planned for Block 1 in the southwest corner of the property. That would detain the runoff that would be generated by the roadway, as well as the lot in that block. I think Josh covered everything else I had, so with that, I would stand for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Andrew. Any questions for Andrew on this? And then, I'm assuming the Readiness Center and the city property, any drainage would be handled on their lots? Is that how that's proposed as of right now?
Yeah, right now we're planning to manage that all on our own, so.
Okay. All right. All right. Thanks, Andrew. I don't think there's any other questions. At this time, we will, I believe there's a public hearing on this. Is that correct? Preliminary?
Yes.
Yep. This time, we will open the public hearing regarding this preliminary major plat. If anyone in the public has any comments or concerns regarding this application, please come forward, or you can call into 701-456-7006. Anyone in the public have any comments or concerns regarding this preliminary major plat application? Seeing and hearing none, we will close the public hearing. Commissioners, is there any other questions, or if not, I would look for a motion to approve or deny the application.
I'll make a motion. I move the City of Dickinson Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval of preliminary major plat 004-2024, the Energy Center 6th Edition subdivision, subject to conditions, as meeting all the requirements of the Dickinson Municipal Code and also being in the interest of public health, safety, and welfare.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All right, hearing no further discussion, we will go to the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Okay, we will move on to the next item this morning. This will be public issues of concern not on our agenda. If there's anybody in the public that has any issues or concerns they'd like to address with the Planning and Zoning Commission, they can come forward or call into 456-7006. Anyone in the public have any comments or concerns? Hearing none, we will close the portion of our agenda. 5 is any items that are not on the agenda that the commissioners would like to bring up this morning? Is there anything? All right. Hearing none, we will close that, and then we will move into our work session good this morning. Our first item there is the Renaissance Zone 10-year renewal update, and this will be presented by Mr. Josephson. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Friedrich, Commissioner Steve Josephson. The first one I wanted to talk about is this continuation of discussions we've had before is the 10-year extension of the city's Renaissance Zone. And I know most of you are familiar with this program, but it's a tool that the state provides to cities for redevelopment and economic investment that incorporates tax incentives to businesses and individual properties. The Century Code was amended back in 1999. There are 53 cities currently that participate. Nearly 2,000 projects have been approved statewide, with 1,500 that have been completed. And this is just a short description of what was in the city's Renaissance Zone program. The Renaissance Zone program was approved in 2004 under the Century Code. The initial period is for 15 years. It's the size of the zone is now increased up to 41 from the original 25 back in 2004. So under the previous Century Code, if a city wanted to renew its Renaissance Zone, it had to do it in 5-year increments. There were changes that were made a couple of years ago that would allow cities to ask for a 10-year. This is the current zone. This is just the number of projects that have been completed and some recent ones. And as you know, there was one that was given project status just recently. And as I said, one of the changes that was made was, among those changes was that cities could extend the period of their Renaissance Zone from 5 years out to 10 years. And this is not, I had a much shorter presentation actually. So, because I know y'all are familiar with this. But the reason I'm here today is because I wanted to get consensus from the direction from the Planning and Zoning Commission to bring the renewal for 10 years to public hearing at the next Planning and Zoning Commission meeting as required under state law. The city representatives have appeared in front of the taxing authorities here in Stark County, in Dickinson, the county commission, the school board, and as Ms. Cattermas knows, the park board. All three of those boards are writing letters, agreed to support the 10-year extension, and are writing letters that we can send to the state. So we wanted to do that before we brought this forward for a public hearing. So now that we've secured those letters, we'd like to bring this forward to public hearing. What'll happen is if you all recommend approval of that extension, it goes to the city commission for final action. Then the state will come up with a memorandum of agreement that would extend it out for 10 years. The current memorandum of agreement expires on July 1st, so getting this done so there's plenty of time to do whatever needs to be done. So I'm just asking for direction whether to bring the extension to the 10-year extension to public hearing at next month's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Josephson? If there's a consensus, I think we would ask him to bring that on, put on the agenda for next month. Does that sound good? I think that's, sounds
Okay,
good to us.
thank you. We will schedule that.
Has there been any discussion if property taxes go away? What's gonna happen to the program?
No, we've not discussed that. So we're going to go forward with the intent that things are going to continue. Though I should have that discussion with the state and see what that means. But we're going to go forward with this, as is.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Joseph.
Okay.
It looks like our next item on our work session would be Group Living Facilities Proposed Zoning Ordinance Amendment, and that's also being handled by you this morning.
Okay, thank you. Chairman Friedrich, Commissioners, a number of this was based on direction that we had received from the City Commission to come up with a draft ordinance for group living facilities. And what I want to emphasize to the people who are listening in on this meeting is if this is approved, All this does is amend the zoning ordinance so that it gives the city the opportunity to grant a special use permit for such a facility. This is not a pre-approval or approval of a specific project, but I just wanted to put that on the record. This is just the opportunity to do that. If you remember, several months ago, we had come here with with definitions for homeless shelter and looked at that. I think much of the discussion is there's a group that wants to start supportive housing here in Dickinson, and the population would be, people who've been, chronically homeless. It would give them an opportunity to live in a place, for extended period of time. There would be services provided to them. I believe that the ultimate idea would be after living there for a certain period of time, they would come out of that, and no longer, and have places to live and work and so on. Commissioner Bear is here. He's the executive director of United Way, and I believe that they're the lead agency. They're the lead agency on this project. But that's why we did a lot of changes, was because the project that they were looking for specifically was not really what had been previously addressed in front of the, presented to Planning and Zoning Commission. So this would create what would be known as group living facilities. There are already a number of group housing facilities, that are permitted under the zoning code, but all of those require a licensure from the state of North Dakota, and they're for specific populations, such as, victims of abuse, people who, chronic drug addiction, and so on. So in doing this, we create some categories: group facility, supportive housing, and transient, and a definition of transient resident. Now, when you get to this transitional housing, definition of unhoused person and unhoused facility. So the point of this would be that these are just examples of the kinds of group living facilities that people could request through the special use process. And as I said, this would have to come to the Planning and Zoning Commission as a special use permit. One thing I do want to add is that a few weeks ago, there was a meeting between city staff and both Commissioner Oderman and Commissioner Bear, who are both have an interest in starting a supportive housing program. It was also to talk about any any sort of building requirements, but we reviewed this proposed ordinance with them, and what you're seeing is based upon the input that we received, as people who are interested in getting this program going, from them. So it would be a conditional, it would require approval of a special use in any zoning district where it would be allowed as a special use, and those are the ones where it would be, again, allowed, requires public hearing and final approval by city commission. And then we're looking for, okay, this isn't the same as a state facility where there's state licensure requirements. So we looked at what can we ask as part of a special use permit for an applicant to provide to show that they actually have a business plan, that this is actually a legitimate organization, that they're actually going to have rules for the people who live there, and also, to show what kinds of services they would provide. And we actually took these out of the part of the zoning ordinance that addresses worker housing, like crew camps and so on, and found that a lot of these would be adequate for this kind of facility. So this would not be somebody just coming and saying, "Trust me, I'm going to open a facility like this." As part of their special use permit process, they would need to provide this information for the city to review before making a recommendation to the Planning and Zoning Commission. These are some, and then there were some other things that we were adding in, and this has come out of other ordinances. What I should mention is I did find a couple of ordinances here in North Dakota. One was in Fargo and one was in Williston that addressed similar facilities, and that's where some of these proposed restrictions came from in terms of compatibility and the impact of a facility like this on adjacent properties. And again, I'm here, just like the previous workshop item, to ask for direction from the Planning and Zoning Commission to bring this forward in May for a public hearing. And I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
In your research, these kind of facilities were allowed in residential zoning districts, especially R1.
As a special use permit, yes. But again, if it's not appropriate there, it doesn't have to be approved.
That was my question as well, I guess. R1 zoning, how many unrelated, four unrelated persons?
4 unrelated, yes. So 4 unrelated.
And then are we gonna leave it, just some questions I come up with is, the 3-month rule that was in here, the 3 out of 12, how is that gonna be?
What was the 3-month rule? I'm sorry.
Well, that an unhoused person can only live there 3 months out of the 12.
I think that would be if it was what would be considered a unhoused person shelter. So it's going to depend on the use.
Transient resident.
Yeah, transient, yeah.
How is that? Are we gonna rely on, how are we gonna know that?
Well, it's a fair question. It's
I
a fair
mean-
question. It's a fair question to ask, That's going to be up, just like anything else, it's going to be up to the applicant to enforce that. Then again, it's, whatever the special use is going to be for a specific use. But yeah, that's going to be up to the whoever operates it to take care of that.
I guess, yeah, I'm okay with bringing it back for us to look at the proposed ordinance and do some more, have a public hearing and have some more discussion on it.
Right.
I'll probably have a list of more questions next time, but
Okay. All right, that's good.
everybody else in agreement with that, do you guys?
I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Commissioner Bear wants to add anything, or if he's just here observing as the United Way Executive Director.
He just wanted to get up early this morning.
I know, he said to me, I can't believe you have these meetings at 7 o'clock, and it's like, sorry, Dr. Bear, I had to rat you out. But, that's a good question. Obviously, what you're seeing today and what's going to come to you in a month, there'll be some tweaks. There'll be some tweaks between now and then. But we just wanted something that had, as I said, the more we talk to this group that's trying to get this specific project here, the more that what staff had presented earlier really didn't apply. So staff spent a long time trying to come up with something that would address all of these, these social service housing types that currently aren't permitted and addressed in the zoning code. And these are legitimate things, but if someone came in today and wanted to ask for it, the zoning code would not allow it. So,
Yeah, I think it's better that we have some kind of set forth regulations, just in case we do see a request. Dr. Bear, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I'm Dr. Bear, as you know, a city commissioner. I'm also the new executive director of the United Way here in Dickinson. Yeah, there are a lot of questions that we still have to work through and how such a facility is going to work here in Dickinson, but there's a huge need for this. This is a area of individuals that need to be served in this community. They are here in the community, whether we want to believe it or not. And as the United Way and with working with other agencies here in the community, we can make this very successful. And as we work with, as the United Way work with Stephen and Josh, our goal is to make this a model facility that other communities will be able to look at and hopefully bring into their community in the future.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Dr. Bear?
So is there a facility proposed? Dr. Bear, is there a facility proposed already? It sounds as if there's something coming down the pipe.
There at this present time, there are some options. Nothing has been set and nothing's been written in writing at this point. So we are looking at some sites, and as we go along and see how this process goes, we'll be able to go divulge that information in the near future, hopefully. Okay.
Dr. Bear?
Yes, sir.
How many, I mean, give us an idea how many people you guys are working with right now that are out in unhoused situations. I mean, I'm sure it varies, but I mean, maybe like an average that you're seeing?
Well, at this point in time, it's kind of hard because it's still cold and many individuals are out living in other places right now. I could tell you that during January when we had that extreme cold, we had the emergency shelter up there at the Southwestern Health District Health Unit. We ended up housing 11 individuals up there, and I must say that for the week we had that shelter open, we had other agencies along with the United Way and the health unit all working together, and we successfully found housing for almost all those individuals and jobs. They wanted to stay in the community and be a part of the community, and we were able to successfully do that. So that's what this program is. That's the goal of this program, is to help these individuals stay in the community and be active in this community. So I would say rough. It's hard to say. Again, we didn't get a good count during the most recent winter count here. There will be another count here in the winter, and I will, when I come back in May, I will have better numbers for you.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
And I know that there have been groups here like the Homeless Coalition who have information like that and have an interest in that, and more than likely will be here for the public hearing, in May. And just to reiterate again, I know the commissioners know that, but for people who are listening in, this is not a pre-approval. This is not site-specific. This is just allowing the city to grant a special use permit. And for this, and each of these programs will be evaluated, on a case-by-case, location-specific basis.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Josephson.
Thank
Any
you
other
very
questions? Yeah, I think we'll move forward to see this next month.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. Looks like that takes care of our work session items for this morning. Unless commissioners have anything else, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.